What's up, Internet? Trevor Starkey from TrevorDrove.com here to go over my Bethesda conference impressions. Day 0 of E3 2016 is done, and Bethesda left us on a much higher note than I think EA did earlier. Right out the gate, they kind of kicked things off with a Quake announcement that a lot of people were hoping for, but I don't think anybody really thought it would come to pass, given that it just launched Doom a few weeks ago. So that was really cool to see them kind of kick things off with the announcement of Quake Champions. Looks like it's probably not going to be a full-blown Quake game, more focusing probably on specifically a PC competitive arena-style first-person shooter. But it'll be really interesting to see where they go with it and what they do with it, kind of fulfilling the trinity of the original first-person shooters. You've got Wolfenstein already, you've got Doom, and now you've got Quake. Kind of, those are definitely the ones that I played growing up on my PC, way back in the day. Oh god, I'm old, never closer to death. Anyway, in the little intro, little snippet that they did, kind of a play on the old like DOS prompts back in the pre-Windows 95 days, even where you had to type in the folder directories that you wanted to go to. NeoGAF pretty quickly jumped on that and discovered that there was one item in there called new_Colossus, and it was right in there sandwiched between like Wolfenstein, new_Order, old_Blood, and the release dates for those games accordingly. And the new_Colossus one was just kind of XX-XX-XX. So that is most likely a tease for the next Wolfenstein game, but it was not officially announced or unveiled tonight. But it'll be really interesting to see if that's where they're going with it. So that was really cool, little fun Easter egg to hide in their conference. So after the big Quake kind of kickoff, Pete Hines came out, VP of Marketing for Bethesda, to really run through a victory lap of all of last year's successes, celebrating the Elder Scrolls Online, Fallout Shelter, Fallout 4, and now most recently Doom. From there on, the conference kind of had a little bit of dips and ups and downs. The highs were far higher than anything the EA conference earlier in the day kind of kicked out, and the lows were nowhere near as low as kind of watching a handful of Madden 16 competitors get introduced on stage and then quickly shuffled off. So one of the first little lulls for me was when they dedicated time to the Elder Scrolls Legends, their strategy card game that looks kind of like a mix between Hearthstone and Gwent. They announced anybody can sign up for the beta online. The game will be now expanding to Mac and iPhone and Android devices. Currently it's in beta on PC and iPad. So that if you're interested in those kinds of card games, check it out. Then we got a prepackaged segment with Todd Howard, unveiling the new Fallout 4 add-ons that are coming out, including a Contraptions Workshop pack coming out next week. Looks like you're going to get a lot of like Rube Goldberg-esque designs that can kind of come from that, with conveyor belts and stuff like that. Then in July, they're introducing Vault Tech Workshop, which is looks like a settlement building expansion, specifically built around the vaults, including the ability to experiment on vault dwellers, I think is what the little teaser said. So cool. And then I hadn't really heard too much about this going into today, but in some of the pre-conference write-ups and coverage I was seeing, like some of the people over at IGN were talking about this Nuka World thing that had kind of been leaked or discovered in the code, and that came to fruition as well. A theme park built around the Nuka-Cola brand. Apparently it's going to be launched in August. Unclear if it's going to be some kind of like significant story content a la Far Harbor, or if it'll just be kind of a new area to visit. And then additionally, quests were announced for Fallout Shelter, the mobile app, as well as a PC version of the game, set to launch in July. And then Todd Howard left us with one of the things that a ton of people have been clamoring for years, the Skyrim Special Edition, coming out October 28th with full mod support, just like Fallout 4. So, yay, I was mostly right on that one. They didn't go with my awesome Dovahkiin Special Edition name, and I predicted it on October 14th, so only 2 weeks off. Not bad at all. Up next was an announcement trailer from Arcane Austin, a cinematic trailer of a rebooted Prey. Looks like it's going to be a very first-person survival horror game set on a space station. I never played the Prey games. I never played Prey, and Prey 2, which has kind of been in development for a while, I guess. Looks like they probably scrapped it and went this route instead. It's coming out next year with more information to be revealed at QuickCon, so that's awesome. Probably not going to be my cup of tea. I'm not really a survival horror person, but for the people that love that kind of thing, I think they're going to get something interesting. The cinematic trailer definitely like piqued my interest. Were I someone that could handle scary things without screaming like a high-pitched version of myself. Yeah. Then id came back out and talked about the continued support that they're going to be giving Doom with Snap Map and DLC packages. From what I understand, I haven't played Doom myself yet. I'm ever looking forward to maybe giving it a try, and one of the things they announced was that people can demo the first level of the game for the next week for free. But from what I understand, the Snap Map functionality and the multiplayer is kind of where Doom is lacking at the moment, so hopefully this kind of continued support will kind of make it more competitive and more of an interesting multiplayer game. Then we got another one of the big lulls, for me at least, with ZeniMax Online game director of Elder Scrolls Online, Matt Fuhrer, coming out to celebrate the anniversary of launching the game on consoles last year with a little sizzle reel. It was a cute, fun little infographic typey thing. One of the things that they had fun with was 578 million mud crabs killed, and it was cute if you've watched it. It will be expanding to Japan in a couple weeks, so cool, and they're getting some new DLC. Ultimately, the big announcement, I guess, was the one Tamriel expansion that's going to be coming out in a few months, which will remove level barriers from content, allowing people of different levels to kind of play together, and I imagine the game will kind of level accordingly. Again, it not being an MMO guy, this one kind of fell flat for me and gave me a chance to kind of catch up on what was going on Twitter. But for the 7 million people that they continue to tout that are playing it, great for them. Pete Hines then came back out and teased what the people in attendance are going to get to experience in the kind of in the after party of the conference, featuring Blink-182 performing. And he also announced that Bethesda VR is a thing and will be experienceable or playable at said after party, featuring 2 demos, one being a kind of world exploratory view of Doom, so you can go and visit Hell in VR, as well as Fallout 4. They said that's definitely kind of where they see the future of VR going, is on their big, expansive, open-world, first-person RPGs, and apparently Fallout 4 will be coming to the HTC Vive in 2017. And a lot of people were like, well, what about Oculus and PlayStation VR? And it barely runs on PlayStation, so I would not anticipate it coming to PlayStation VR anytime soon. Maybe if PlayStation Neo is really superpowered and can help run it, sure, but I would not anticipate it, so probably going to need an HTC Vive for something like that. And then kind of the big closing, probably like 20 minutes of the show, was dedicated to Dishonored 2, as probably most people expected, since that is coming out in November. I think it ran a little too long, and I think kind of the general consensus I was seeing online was a lot of people feeling that way. As someone who loved the first Dishonored and is very much looking forward to this second one, I personally enjoyed kind of all the new things they were showing, all of the features and the new abilities and the new world engines that they'd created. It was fascinating to me, but I can totally see how if you're not into it, you were probably in snooze town a little bit. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the conference. In terms of my predictions, I did a lot better here, or I did better here. I don't know if I would say a lot necessarily. I did better than my EA predictions, where I got a 0.75 out of 5 for EA. Here, my 5 predictions were as follows. I predicted the Skyrim Special Edition, though I named it the Dovahkiin Edition, releasing on October 14th. Instead, we've got the Skyrim Special Edition releasing on October 28th, so I went ahead and chalked up 0.75 points for that, because I think my name would have been way cooler. Suck it, Bethesda marketing. Future plans for Fallout DLC and Fallout Shelter were announced, as predicted. I predicted 3 DLC packs coming in, I think, September, October, November, and instead they're coming out next week, so June, and then July and August. And then Fallout Shelter is getting add-ons. I predicted they would be available now through an update tonight. Instead, they're going to be coming out in July, as well as a PC version. So I went ahead and gave myself a half point for that, for predicting the Fallout add-on, Fallout Shelter add-on, as well as specifically calling out 3 DLC packs. Number 3 was Wolfenstein 2 would be announced, with a release date of summer 2017, likely May. 0 points on that one, even if that new _Colossus thing does end up being kind of the tease of the game. It wasn't officially announced, so I'm not gonna go ahead and give myself anything on that, and of course they didn't give a date range or anything. Number 4 was Dishonored 2 would get kind of a cast showcase. I gave myself a quarter of a point here, but if enough people say, hey, Trevor, that's cheap, I'll pull it, that's fine. Because Dishonored 2 was definitely the showcase of the show, but they didn't do what I anticipated they would do, of kind of giving behind-the-scenes cast interviews, touting all of the big names that they've got working on the game. But because it was certainly the highlight of the show, with 20 minutes dedicated to it, I went ahead and gave myself a quarter of the point. And then number 5 was that Evil Within 2 would be announced from Tango Works, I think Tango Works? Whatever studio that one is. But it was absolutely nowhere to be seen, so 0 points there. So again, all said and done, that comes to a 1.5 out of 5 points, double my EA score, so I count that as a win. Suck it, EA. Thank you, Bethesda. But still pretty bleh. I mean, definitely well in the failing range. 30 percentile. Meh. But all in all, I thought it was a great conference. Way better than the EA one earlier today. Definitely still had its kind of lulls. They didn't, it wasn't a flawless conference. It wasn't just heavy hitter after heavy hitter after heavy hitter like it was last year for them. But it was a good show all around. So a good way to end, pretty good, solid, strong way to end day 0, because technically E3 doesn't start till tomorrow. So day 0 of E3, Bethesda conference. Those are my thoughts on it. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Follow me on Twitter at SnarkyStarky. Let me know there what you thought. And subscribe, all the YouTube things that I sometimes tell people to do and then other times forget. But yeah, thanks for watching. And if you want the full write-up of the recap, you can see it at trevortrove.com. Until next time.